to 3, day 2. We're going to talk more about graphing, but today we're going to look at basically looking closer at x-intercepts, looking at the relationship between x-intercepts and the factors, right? Just kind of relating a couple of things together, all right? So this example up here, they give us y equals right here, right? Basically, guys, we can solve this by graphing. Like, we don't have to use the quadratic formula or the solving by factoring or solving by square roots. You could try graphing. Now, you can't always use graphing, right? Like, if you have a square root or if you have an I, you can't find that just by graphing, right? But one of the easier things to do is to just put it in and see what we get. The x-intercepts are your solutions. Let's put this in the calculator. All right. So when I put this into the calculator, this is what my graph should look like. Does your graph look like mine?
Yes.
Okay. So guys, oh, and my zoom is all weird because of what I had earlier. So I'm going to go to zoom 6 so that I fix it and it goes back to my standard. Okay, so I just told you that the solutions are the x-intercepts, right? Where the graph crosses through the x-axis. So look at this graph. Where does this graph cross through the x-axis? At what numbers?
-1 and 3.
It looks like -1 and 3, right? So let's double check. Let's go to our table. Second graph. So when I go to -1, what's my y number? 0. Oh, then that is a 0. That is the x-intercept. That's how I know. Okay? If that x number has a 0 for the y, like the matching y number, then that is an x-intercept, or one of my zeros. Okay, so -1 works. What else? What was the other number that you said?
What? Oh, 3?
3. It was 3. Does 3 have 0 as the y? Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. So -1 and 3, those are my solutions. So you know what? I'm going to graph this. -1, 3. Guys, can you give me some of the other points? What's my y value when my x is 0? 6. Okay, so 0, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. How about for 1? 8. Okay, how about for 2? Okay, so let's see. 1, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 6. Okay, and what is -2? What's the y for -2?
10. -10.
-10. And what's the y for -3? -4. Okay, then you know what? I'm not going to graph those. I'm just going to graph this. And here we go. We'll just kind of eyeball that. Okay? Questions? All right. Let's practice some more. What are the zeros of these solutions? So number 1. Let's put this in. X squared plus 6x minus 7. All right, let's graph it. Guys, does it have a nice, pretty x-intercept?
Sure.
It sure, yes it does. Where does it cross through? The x-axis. It looks like at where? 1 and -7. Well, let's double check. Second graph. At -7, is my y number 0? Yes. And for 1 as well, right? All right, so my zeros are -7 and 1. 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1. And you know what? This goes off off the grid, so that's fine. We'll just eyeball it. That's okay. Yeah? All right, let's graph the next one. Let's see what our x-intercepts are for the next one. All right. Ooh, those look nice too. The x-intercepts. Where do they look like they're going through? Like what numbers? 1 and 4? 4 or 5? Here's 1, 5, right? 1, 0, and 5, 0. So those are my x-intercepts. Okay. And then, you know what? Your calculator will tell you just another point. Go to second graph, give me another point, and then let's, you know, eyeball this. What do you get for like 3? 3 what? 3, 4. So then look something like this, your graph. I also put in my vertex, right? 3, 4. And then my 2 zeros. That's it. That's all I want. Just the 2 zeros and then maybe one more point, the vertex. Okay? Now, let's graph number 3. X squared plus 1. X squared plus 1. Alright? When you graph this, look at it. Where does it cross through or touch the x-axis? The x-axis. It doesn't. Look at this graph. Doesn't touch or cross through the x-axis? No. So that means we don't have any real solutions. That means we have imaginary solutions, right? So we will find the solutions, but you know what? Let's graph this. Second graph. Can we graph 0, 1, and then negative 1, 2, and 1, 2? Yeah? Let's graph those. All right. So with this one, we have 2 imaginary solutions. Yeah? So y equals x squared plus 1. We're looking for the x-intercepts. And another word for x-intercepts is 0. Well, for all of your x-intercepts, your y number equal what? For all of these x's, what was the y number on the table?
One was 1 and one was 5.
Yeah, but those were the x numbers. What were the matching y numbers on the table? 0, right? So that's why this is 0. This means 0 equals x squared plus 1. Okay? Let's solve for the x. I'm going to subtract the 1. So now we have negative 1 equals x squared. Guys, how do I get rid of this square?
Yeah, that's good. That.
Square root. But when you draw the square root, you have to put plus or minus. So now we have x equals plus or minus square root of -1. Guys, what is the square root of -1? Huh? Something comes out if there's a negative inside.
The
I. Plus or minus I. So your zeros here are plus or minus I. All right? Okay. So, let's go on to the back. So, this is the fun part here. So, we're given a bunch of zeros. Say you're given a graph just like this, okay? Well, those zeros can help you to write the equation of the graph, all right? Here's what you want to do first. You want to go and get your zeros. What are the zeros? Are the x-intercepts of this function. Here and here. What are those two numbers? What numbers? -4, 0, and 2, 0, right? So using those zeros, I'm going to turn this, I'm going to rewrite it into factors. Here's what you do. X equals -4. X equals 2. Yeah? Make this equal to 0. So I'm going to add the 4 here. Whatever you do on one side, you do to the other side. So now it becomes x plus 4 equals 0. Yeah? Come on, make it equal to 0. Do the same thing on the other side. That x equals a positive 2. What do I need to do to move that positive 2? Yeah. X minus 2 equals 0. So guess what, guys? These are your factors right here. Y equals x plus 4 and x minus 2. If you put this into the calculator, you will get this graph. Isn't that cool? All right, so let's try some more. Given the graph, find the zeros, and then find the equation in factor form. You don't have to like FOIL it, double distribute it out. Just leave it in factor form. So number 1, what are the zeros here?
-2, 0, and 2, 0.
Okay, so we have x equals -2 and x equals 2, right?
What? Never mind.
Okay, I'm just going to write it like this because we're going to get to the factors, right? So remember, we need to make this equal to 0. Add the 2 here. So now we have x plus 2 equals 0. Now what? How about for the other one? Good. So x minus 2 equals 0. Well, there are your factors, guys. Y equals x plus 2 times x minus 2. That's it. So good, right? Let's look at the second one. Where's the x-intercept for this one? At 1. Well, you know, this one's special because does it cut through the x-axis? Like, does it go through it? No, it just bounces off of it, right? Anytime it bounces off, this is called a double root. That means basically you have double of that number. So you have x equals 1 and you have x equals 1. So write it twice. Okay? So then if I turn these into factors, let's see, minus the 1,
equals x minus 1 squared, right?
Yeah. You could write it as x minus 1 squared. Or, if you'd like, you can write them both out. X minus 1 times x minus 1. It doesn't matter. I don't have a preference either way. It's just totally up to you. Okay? All right. Okay, so guys, do me a quick favor. On your calculator, put this in. Put in x minus 1 squared into your calculator. See if it looks like number 2.
I got 8.
Huh? Does it look like number 2? If you just put in the y equals and then you hit graph.
Yeah.
Yeah? All right, perfect. All right, so let's look at number 3. What are my zeros here? -5 and 1. So then my factors are what?
5 and -1.
So it'll be y equals x plus 5, x minus 1. Guys, put that in the calculator and see if it looks like your graph. It doesn't look like it, right? So what did this graph do? It flipped. And guys, how do I show when a graph flips? Remember our transformations?
Negative.
Good. So guys, since this one flipped, you gotta put a negative in the front. And make a little note for yourself if you need to. Flips. All right. Questions? Okay. All right. So, there's another part there that's missing, right? Down at the bottom, it says what? More practice. The zeros of a function are 5 and 2.
The factors are -5.
What are the factors?
-5 and -2.
What do you mean -5? Good. Good.
Y equals x minus 5 and
No, not y equals the factors. So I want parentheses x minus 5, parentheses x minus 2. Do you guys notice the relationship between the zeros and the factors? They're like opposite. So if my zero is a +5, then my factor is x minus 5. Right? Okay, so what number was that?
wait, is 0 positive or
Where
negative?
are we? Yeah, we're still on the ground.
Okay, so number 2. All right, I'm getting to that one now. What is this? What are the zeros at number 2?
3 and 0. -3 and 0. Is 0 positive or negative?
All right, so here's the thing. If you have x equals -3, you got to add the 3, right?
Yep.
So now you have x plus 3 equals 0. Well, there's one factor, x plus 3, right? Your goal is to make it equal to 0, right? So what if it's already 0? Well, then that's x equals 0, right? Well, there's nothing to solve for 0, so this is your factor right there, x.
X.
Okay? When it's x equals 0, then it's just x. X is just a factor. Okay? How was that? All right. Let's go on to the next one then. Good for them?
Yeah.
All right. So you're gonna see this possibly on the quiz, definitely on the test, and absolutely on your homework. Okay. So you are going to be given one piece of information, and you can fill in all of the other stuff. My general rule of thumb with these is start from whatever information they give you, and then move to the left. Okay? So they gave me the graph. Well, tell me the zeros. Where are the zeros here? 1, yeah, right there, right? Wait a second, this is a double root. Good. Double root. X equals 1, so x equals 1, right? And you can rewrite this, and you can write it like that if you want to, inside the solution set. All right? So then from there, I'm going to go on to the factors. So if I have x equals 1, well, I need to make it equal to 0, so I'm going to subtract 1. Then I have x minus 1 equals 0. That's one factor. Right? And now I have 2 of those. So really my answer is x minus 1 times x minus 1 here. Do you agree? Tom, write this down. And then from your factors to your equation, guys, it's basically the same thing, except you're putting a y equals. Y equals x minus 1 squared, or you can write it as y equals x minus 1 times x minus 1. Okay? The only thing I would look out for is, does your graph flip down? Because if your graph flips down, in your equation part, you got to put a negative in the front. Okay? All right. Should we try the next one? All right. So here they gave me the zeros, and they said assume that a equals 1. So we have 0 and we have 5. Right? Try to stay awake. All right, so I'm going to start here. I'm going to go over there. Yeah? So this means I have x equals 0, and I have x equals 5, right? Let's turn those into factors. Yeah? My factor for this one is x minus 5. How about for x equals 0? Just x. Good. Right? And then I have to go to the left. All right, so now I just rewrite the same thing. I just put y equals x times x minus 5. Right? And then now I have to go back and graph. Go over here. And how do I graph this? Put it in the calculator, right? You already know your x-intercept, so you could put in 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and here's 5, right? Let's put this into the calculator and see what we get. Right? You can just go to your table, unless I ask you specifically for the vertex, right? No, give me one more point that's like exact, okay? So look, you have 2 -6 or 3 -6. You can use that.
We just eyeball.
You know, you can eyeball later ones. Just, give me another point. That's good. Your table gives it to you anyway. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So look, there. All I'm asking for is just this. Right? Just smack his teeth at me. No, he just did. Alright. How are we with this? Isn't this pretty fun? It's like a little puzzle. I know, contain the excitement, everybody. Contain the excitement. Alright, let's try the next one. Okay, so then they give me the factors. I'm going to get the equation, which is basically the same thing, right? X plus 1 and then 2x minus 3. Guys, I love this one. I love that this is a 2x minus 3. So you have some options. You can go from the equation all the way over to the graph, but I'm going to go over to the zeros. Okay? Because x plus 1 equals 0, right? When you're giving me the zeros, you're solving for x. So what should I do? You want to get x all by itself. Subtract the 1. So x equals -1. That's one of them. Right? And then you have 2x minus 3 equals 0. Let's solve for x. Add the 3 first, yeah? And you have 2x equals 3. Now what? Now what?
Divide 2.
Yeah, divide by 2. X equals, what's 3 halves? Does that give me a nice terminating decimal? Like a decimal that stops? 1.5? If it gives you a terminating decimal that stops, you could leave it as a decimal or you could give me the fraction, okay? If it's 1/3, 1/3 is a repeating decimal, so don't give me 1.33, okay? Just give me the fraction. Alright, so now I'm going to graph. So I have -1, and then I have 1.5. Guys, when you go to graph this, do you see the whole entire graph in your window here? Hmm. 0, -3. I think that's a nice pretty point, right? Go to second graph.
Yeah.
Get a point. Yeah? 0, -3? Alright, well then we can use that. I know that that's not the vertex. There you go. Alright? Something like that, right? Unless I ask you for the vertex, you don't have to find the minimum and the maximum. Fair? Alright, let's look at the next one. Ooh, the next one is a standard form. No need to fear, because how can I get the graph? Calculator! Put it in the calculator! Alright, graph this. Oh, my x-intercepts look like they're at where? Negative 1 and 2? Okay. Perfect, thank you. Did you put the negative in the beginning?
Yeah.
You don't have something went wrong there. You put a fraction or something in somewhere?
Oh, I did the x negative 1 as the other square.
Alright, give me another point. Second graph. Give me another point that you graphed.
0, 2.
0, 2? Alright, 0, 2, and 1, 2. Okay. So I guess we went to graph, but then from there I can get my zeros. So I could write this as negative 1 and 2. And from there, give me the factors. What are my factors? X minus 2. Okay? All right. Oh, no, there are more. All right. You guys try number 5, and then we'll check. All right, so number 5.
Which one do you want first?
Well, I would go get the zeros.
Negative 3, 3.
So plus or minus 3.
Yes.
And then did you guys go get your factors?
Plus minus 3.
Okay. And then your equation?
4 is
X plus 3, x minus 3. Wait a minute. Look at your graph.
Negative.
Yes. Why do you need a negative?
It flips.
Good. Alright. Need a negative because I flipped. Or it reflected. Right? No. You can do them separately. Alright? Now, let's look at number 6. Guys. So good. We finally got a fraction. Alright. X equals 5. What is the factor for this guy? X minus 5. Okay. So now, this fraction. X equals negative 1/2. Right? I'm going to show you how to turn that into a factor. You want to get this equal to 0.
Reciprocal?
Well, you know what? Take it, actually, I'm going to even cut it back to even more basic. Get rid of this denominator. How do you get rid of that 2?
Multiply.
Yeah, multiplied by 2. So then we have 2x equals negative 1. Now what? Oh, no, you're making it equal to 0.
And
Add the 1. So now you have 2x plus 1 equals 0. Well, there's your factor right there. 2x plus 1. Okay? When you have a fraction, you're going to get a number in front of that x. So then now your equation is y equals x minus 5 times 2x plus 1. Right? And then let's graph this. Okay. Can you give me another point, please? Give me another point. What's another point? Anyone put it in the calculator? Put it in the calculator! Too lazy! Mr. Jones, did you hear that? Back off. Guys, give me a point. Give me another point. I should just make Abner do it. Nobody can leave until Abner gives me a point.
Here plus 7.
What is a point? Is there a nice pretty point that graphs? Or is it too far down? Huh? Is it too far down? Let me see it then. Let me see what this graph looks like. Put it in. Let me see, Cindy. Show me what this graph looks like. What is so hard right now? So guys, this one, it goes down a little bit too much, right? It goes off our chart. So, I mean, all you had to do was just tell me, and then we can just do this. It's fine. All right?